Welcome to another of our occasional track battles where we're going to pitch three of the greatest hardcore drivers' cars of the moment, the Ferrari 488 Pista, Porsche 911 GT3 RS and McLaren 600LT against the clock in a lap-time shootout and in a 0 to 100 to 0 sprint. If supercars are your thing, click below to subscribe to Autocar because we produce content just like this every single week. This time out we're using Anglesy's coastal circuit, which has fast corners like Church that will test the aero of each car, long straights to stretch outright performance, and trickier lower speed corners like Rocket and the Corkscrew that will require good handling agility and plenty of mechanical grip. The Pista is the latest in a line of special series versions of Ferrari's mid-engine V8 supercars. Pista literally translates to mean track, so this really is where it should excel. The car's twin-turbocharged engine comes from the 488 Challenge race car, and it develops 710 horsepower at 8,000 RPM. That's 50 brake horsepower up on the 488 GTB, as well as 568 pounds-foot of torque. Specify the right options, including these 10,000 pound carbon fibre wheels, and it'll weigh as little as 1,385 kilograms in running order. There are also new aerodynamic features all over and under the car, including the S-duct front splitter. And perhaps even more significant is the rubber the car is riding on. Ferrari brought a generous supply of super sticky Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2R tyres for the 488 Pista. The Porsche ran the same tyres too, while the McLaren ran the nearest equivalent tyre from Pirelli, the P0 Trofeo R. Let's see how it gets on around a lap. Good lord, the speed of this Ferrari is absolutely incredible. I've never come across a road tyre with as much mechanical grip as the Michelin Cup R's on this car for a start. It's pulling absolutely enormous apex speed. Just the acceleration of the car, performance level is insane, and it's got this sort of strange quality where the engine's providing more torque with every gear, so it's just completely seamless. It just doesn't, there's no end to it. It just keeps coming, and then you take another gear and it ramps up again. So the grip of the tyre, the performance of the engine, just the natural balance of a 488 chassis as well into the bargain, it makes for an awesome package. And in terms of lap speed, I'd be amazed if any of the other cars got within a second and a half, 2 seconds of this. It feels that fast. The Pista clocks a 1 minute 11.4 second lap around the coastal circuit at Anglesey then. How close can the GT3 RS get to that? The Porsche develops 513 bhp from its 4-litre motor, costs £141,346 and weighs 1,430 kilograms at the curb. One of the major tweaks from the previous generation 991 GT3 RS to this, the 991.2, is its updated aero. There are bonnet scoops here to drag air down from above the bonnet into the wheel arches and improve brake cooling, which means in turn the front splitter can direct air under the car for better aero rather than divert it to cool the brakes. Like the two other cars, the GT3 RS is a more track-focused version of an already brilliant driver's car. Unlike the other two, however, the GT3 RS is naturally aspirated. And to preempt an obvious question, we didn't pick Porsche's 911 GT2 RS for this track battle, because the cars you see here also had to compete for Autocar's all-round best driver's car title once we'd finished shooting this video. While the turbocharged car might have been quicker, the atmospheric GT track car is better. you know, it doesn't matter how many supercars you go and drive, you get into a fast 911, a really special one like this, and you can't fail to be absolutely stunned and just blown away by it. They're just such lovely, lovely drivers' cars. You know, they're so proportionate, they're so precise and on your side, and they're always the same. You always get this fantastic front end, which is just really faithful under a balanced throttle, loads and loads of grip at the rear axle. In this case, you get an engine that revs to 9 and just absolutely just blows your head clean off when it does it. I mean, the performance, you know, the outright performance level probably isn't at the same level as either of the other two, the McLaren or the Ferrari. And I dare say it won't be quite as fast lap time wise as either. That would be my guess. But I tell you what, this might be the car you'd end up just driving lap after lap, totally in love with it. At 1 minute 14.7 seconds, the GT3 RS is over 3 seconds slower around the Anglesey coastal circuit than the Ferrari. That's a slightly bigger disadvantage than we expected, and one partly caused by the state of the Porsche's tyres, which were more worn than those of the Ferrari when the lap times were done. Of greater influence, of course, is the Ferrari's far greater power-to-weight ratio, the Italian physically challenging you to use all of its 710 horsepower at times, where the German felt tamer. And what of the last car of our trio? The 600LT is the hardcore long-tail series version of McLaren's entry-level supercar, the 570S. What makes it a long-tail? Reduced weight, optimised aero, more power, track-focused dynamics and exclusivity. Sound familiar? With its carbon tub, the 600LT comes in at 1,356 kilos in running order, making it the lightest car of our trio. Its turbocharged 3.8-litre V8 produces 592 horsepower in old money, and the car's claimed top speed is 204 miles an hour. Not that we'll get near that around Anglesey. So, I think the McLaren 600LT just did a 1 minute 13 second lap, dead on. Yes, there it is. So that makes it just over a second and a half slower than the Pista, and just over a second and a half quicker than the Porsche, which feels like it's about right to me. You know, and whether you care about lap speed or not, you would say this is probably every bit as good as a Ferrari to drive for balance, for sort of controllability, and just feeling part of the experience, part of the machine. It really is a lovely, lovely car. It communicates better, I think, than the Ferrari, steers better, the balance is just as good. Maybe the adjustability, the ways you can drive it, perhaps the Ferrari is a little bit better in that respect, and it certainly has more mechanical grip. Second and a half slower than the Ferrari, second half quicker than the Porsche. That's fair enough, I think, all three ways. Perhaps a little bit hard on the Porsche. It would have gone faster on fresher tyres, but not bad. Next, we're going to drag race the cars from 0 to 100 miles an hour and back to a standstill. This test is not just about how fast a car will launch, it's also about braking response time and outright stopping power. All three cars have carbon ceramic brakes as tested, although you do have to choose them as an option on our first car, the GT3 RS. Using launch control, the GT3 RS gets to 60 miles an hour in 3.5 seconds and 100 miles an hour in just 7.6 seconds, setting a benchmark of 12.2 seconds for the full 0 to 100 to 0 run. That includes a very low reaction time, the total time spent by the car above 100 miles an hour while both car and driver react, of just 0.12 seconds. From 0 to 60 miles an hour, the mid-engine McLaren is just a tenth quicker than the Porsche, but it reaches 100 miles an hour a full second sooner. It's also better on the brakes, hauling itself down from 102.8 miles an hour in just 4.1 seconds, to complete the 0 to 100 to 0 run in 11 seconds dead. And finally, the Ferrari. The 488 Pista launches almost perfectly, gets to 60 miles an hour in 3 seconds flat and 100 miles an hour in a neck-bending 5.7 seconds. That's nearly a second quicker than the 600LT and nearly 2 seconds faster than the GT3 RS. After a reaction time of 0.3 seconds, the Ferrari comes down from 102 miles an hour to rest in 4.2 seconds, completing the run in 10.2 seconds. To give you some context, we recently ran 0 to 100 to 0 runs on the McLaren Senna and the 720S on the same stretch of tarmac. They completed it in 9.4 seconds and 10 seconds respectively, and you can see videos on those cars elsewhere on our channel. So the Ferrari turns out to be the fastest around a lap and proves that the car's stellar V8 engine is at the heart of its pace by tearing chunks out of the McLaren and the Porsche in a straight line. The 488 Pista is nothing short of awesome on track, with otherworldly power, pace and grip, and yet remarkably flattering handling balance and superb driver appeal too. For my money though, McLaren's 600LT has every bit as much driver reward and even more feel, and by working every bit as well on the road as it does on the circuit, it has the greater overall appeal as a driver's car. For more videos like this, don't forget to hit the subscribe button.